Hi, welcome to FPV Flight Airborne. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Domino II. The Domino II's, I've been flying it for approximately 8 months, and I absolutely and totally adore this plane. It's a really great plane. As you see there, written Domino II, it's made by Pichler, or Pichler in German. It is a German plane. It's a really good German plane. Let me just go ahead and tell you a little bit about the specs. Alright, so the plane's width is 1,380 millimeters long and total 860 millimeters, so wide, and then 860 long. It has its flying weight 750 grams, but to be totally honest with you, I've carried that in just batteries for this plane alone, and it will fly way more than 750 for sure, and that's at about 50% throttle. It says that it recommends a 1300 milliamp hour battery, and they want you to attach it all the way up here in the nose, and I think I understand why. Probably because it really needs, it wants to carry more weight. If it had, it's really a great glider. I did make modifications to this, for sure. So I'll tell you about the system that I'm running on this. I'm running Dragon Link. So I have my little Dragon Link UHF running all the way underneath the wing here and into the fuselage, which I'll show you later. I'm running a 2200 kV motor with a 6-inch prop, and I have servos in each aileron, and I have a servo per rudder and elevator. I've also I guess modified it just a little bit more with my FPV equipment. I put my 1.3 gigahertz transmitter directly in the center, and if you look at a cutout that I have of an old one that I have laying around, this portion right here is actually the portion where I fit my transmitter in, which is great for this model, if you could see that. Right, let me see if I can get this to focus a little bit. Focus. About as good as it's going to get. But right inside this little portion right here, it slid right down in there. It doesn't really mess with any of the structural integrity of the plane itself. It was a perfect fit just like a glove. So that's why I decided to keep it toward the center of gravity, pretty much a third of the way down the wing, which is great. I'm also running 1.3 gigahertz Bluebeam Ultra and circular polarized antennas. On the ground, sometimes I'll run circular, the Mad Mushroom, or I'll go for the 5-turn helical antenna, which is amazing. It has awesome range. To talk about the system, back to that, I'm running pretty much all cheapo servos on all the rest of the parts of the setup. If you look underneath, so I loosely have these wires just inside these little slots here. I mean, it's not really tied down much, but it has carbon fiber spar going all the way down to, if you could see that, that's that point right there, which isn't the greatest because, I mean, there's so much more wing that it really should be covering, but I see that I've found that it's pretty suitable, to be honest with you. If you're flying FPV, this isn't, I mean, you can still do aerobatics with this, but if you use the proper wing load, you shouldn't have an issue at all. I've never snapped a wing, and I've done some very high dives and inverted flight to like front flip looking things. I've done all kinds of little things with this plane that are definitely outside what you would see in normal gliders, but it's definitely a nice glider plane. But the carbon fiber spar I find to be pretty sufficient. I use my own hardware. I bought all the pieces separately. I think it ran somewhere around 70 euros or something. It came out to be around $100 for this plane total, which is completely, in my opinion, is completely worth it. The downfall of this plane, it doesn't have any carbon fiber support for the tail, so I put my own spar just through there and just taped it down just for a little bit of extra support. I've had cracking here in the past and on planes that I've crashed before, so I thought I'd run a carbon fiber spar down there. Also, another flaw in this plane is that the wings are not like, they're easy to take off and put back on, but over time they'll start to wear. So there's no way to really secure the wing unless you glue it. So you can't really break the plane down completely. And that I find to be an issue. If you wanted to, say if I was going to move from here to another place and I had to pack up all of my things, I'm not going to leave the plane completely assembled like this. I'm going to take the wings off, I'm going to take everything off, and then I'm going to go. I mean, right now it's just friction fitted, and it doesn't really need to be glued, to be honest with you. But after maybe 15, 20, 25 flights, you're going to start seeing that the wings will start loosening up, and if you don't glue that into place, they will come apart. But at first they're super tight, they just slide right in and lock in. I wish there was a better way for them to tighten them into place. What I found in the past that works is just to run a piece of tape from one side to the other, so that you can just peel the tape off, pull them out, and everything's good to go. Other modifications that I will make and that I have made in the past is I spray the bottom with a paint from Rust-Oleum. It's not even a paint, it's like a rubber coating. And that rubber coating, if you run some masking tape around the top and just spray the belly only, the whole belly will end up being like a skid plate all the way down to the end, and you won't damage the bottom of your plane if you land in rough terrain, rocks and all that. If you do like 3, 4, 5 layers, you'll have a real thick layer on there. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the inside of the plane. Alright, so the electronics I'm running is a GoPro Hero 2. I have the GoPro Hero 2 mounted to here temporarily until I get my pan and tilt mount put back on there. If you saw in my earlier videos, I have a pan tilt system that looks around the nose of the plane so I can keep some situational awareness, which I will be remounting back on here. But this is just a temporary fix with this canopy. It just holds it in place so I can continue to fly. I bought the little hookup for that, the jack. I don't think it's a 3.5, it's smaller for the GoPro. You could just check that out on eBay if you want to find one of them. On the inside here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit, get a little bit closer. Alright, so in here I have my ESC mounted on the wall there, right here. Back here, I know it's really hard to see, but let me grab this out. Alright, so I have my little LED, I guess it's like a filter. I have that running so that everything, all the power and whatever comes through this wire doesn't interfere with any of the footage that's actually going, and that's going directly to the FPV transmitter. So I'm catching whatever is going to it before it gets to it to clean it out, and I think it does a pretty good job. I just know that's like basic fundamental. You should have something like that. I know this looks a little irresponsible, but right now I just have like a little balance lead that I just clipped off the sides too. I have other ones that it's fine. I can clearly see which side is red and which side's black, so that's what I've been using to plug into the battery to run my FPV equipment. Obviously the GoPro doesn't need any power, so the FPV the transmitter, it's good to go. It doesn't need anything. I have my Dragon Link mounted down underneath there, way down there in the bottom. And then if you look at the inside of the Pichler, the Domino, it has this wooden, I guess, little plank set up in here that you can mount batteries to and all that. Typically what I do is I just rip that out and I have even more space, and then I take out all the little walls back there on the sides and just clear out all that, and then I'll mount my my Dragon Link receiver way down there in the back, and then I have all of this space for batteries. I did have lights running. I mounted the switch to the side for my last setup, which is great because there's more than enough room. And I had the switch right here on the outside, so I just toggle it on and off. And inside here, it really does have more room than any other plane I've seen. It's great. I mean, it is just, there's no stopping up front. There's nothing like it goes completely all the way up in there. If you could see, like, there's really no obstructions. You could fit so much in the front of this plane. It's amazing. The weak points that I found for this plane are right here on the sides. I don't know why, but if you land hard, it'll crack almost right where the magnets are. I wish there was some way to get that, like some kind of carbon fiber reinforcement running down through the side of there. But the magnets, speaking of the magnets, they hold actually really good on hard landings. I think I've had it come off maybe once, but I'd rather have that come off than to just crack in half. This canopy, it looks really flimsy, but it's actually really tough. That's the only part of the plane I haven't broken yet. So that's a great, it's a great canopy. I don't really understand why it's so tough, but it just really is. Like, this is all foam. There's no carbon fiber reinforcement or anything. It's really great. So in the body of the plane, there's actually carbon fiber all the way down in the end. When you actually hook up the tail, when you have the tail mount, when the tail is mounted, it actually locks into place. Alright, so what I have here, my setup, is I have really tight linkages. I pretty much just ran a thick bar for my elevator. I'm really worried that if my elevator ever went, that I would really have an issue. So that's, I think, the most important thing to me, is to make sure that that's secure, because if that's not secure, I won't be able to recover the plane. Now on this side, yeah, I have pretty much the same setup. I have a pretty strong metal rod there running to another little to my rudder and back. So it's a good setup. I'd rather have the servos mounted in the tail than use this space. That's actually, this space up here was actually designated for that. This these little spots right here, this I guess this little compartment, there's like little holes that they laser cut, so that's what they want you to use. So I just don't find that to be very useful, so I decided to put them back there. It gives me a little bit more tail weight so that I can focus on what I want to put up here. Overall flight characteristics, I would say it glides like a dream. It doesn't. It does have a stall. You can't fly it very slow. I mean, you can fly it really slow in a glide if you have like a little headwind, but the headwind has to be enough that it's going to keep giving it lift. Like, you need some kind of forward momentum. Because of the KV motor that I'm running on it, it's going to make it run real fast. But I would say that overall, at about 40 to 50% throttle, it lands real nice. It has great flight characteristics. When you give it throttle, it doesn't really want to climb too much. It pretty much stays pretty straight and narrow. When you plug it in, it almost flies itself. Not with all the FPV equipment on it, of course, but when everything's balanced and you pull it out of the box, this plane is a great plane. It almost flies itself. It's really, really awesome. And I think since I've already talked about the 5-turn helical antenna, I'm going to go ahead and show you what that is. And this is from Video Aerial Systems. I got this antenna. And this 5-turn helical is actually just amazing. It is just awesome. It has a small little mount there down the bottom, that little metal spot, so that you can put your little camera adapter, so you can snap it into a tripod and then aim it where you want to fly. It has this big metal plate here, a real long coax cable with an RPSMA adapter there on the end, so you can pretty much hook it up to all your conventional receivers. It truly is a 5-turn all the way from the bottom to the top. Real strong construction. It looks like they almost welded some of this stuff together. Like down here on the bottom is like a little metal plate. I don't know if you can really see that, or that little square plate down there. It's like they welded it. It's really locked in. This is a real good build, especially since it's not as like this equipment's not as conventional as other stuff may be on the market. But I just put some sticky back there on the back of this so I can mount my receiver and just run it directly. And I guess we'll we'll show you some flight footage.